Okay, we will call the meeting to order. May we please have a roll call, Nicole?
Chairman Neal,
Here.
Vice Chairman Fuller,
Here.
Mr. Ashkenazi,
Here.
Mr. DiGennaro,
Here.
Mr. Bologna, Mr. Chimura,
Here.
Ms. Littman,
Here.
Mr. Puccielli, Mr. Lineski, and Mr. Caranahan.
Here.
Okay, we can stand to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the notice requirements of the open public meeting law for this meeting have been satisfied. A copy of the notice having been sent to the Asbury Park Press and the Coaster and filed in the office of the Township Clerk. There is an emergency exit through the courtroom doors and 2 exits at the rear of the room. No new cases will be started after 9 o'clock p.m. and no new testimony taken after 9:30 p.m. In addition, the applicant will be limited to 45 minutes of testimony. All meetings will be video and audio taped and shown on the Township of Oceam's Community Cable Channel, Channel 22 on Verizon Fios, and Channel 77 on Cablevision. All cell phones must be turned off, or if you need to make a call, please make your call outside of the meeting room. We have the following continued cases. The applicant has requested to be carried to the May 15th, 2025 meeting and will notice for the meeting. IAAT Services, LLC, 1418 Highway 35, Oakhurst in the 0140 zone. IAAT Services, LLC, 992 Highway 35, Oceam in the C5 zone. We have the following resolutions to be memorialized. 2795-2797 Asbury Avenue, Ocean First French-Speaking Baptist Church, Zone R2, and I will offer.
I'll second.
Chairman Neal,
Yes.
Mr. Ashkenazi,
Yes.
Mr. DiGennaro,
Yes.
Mr. Chimura,
Yes.
and Ms. Littman,
Yes.
and Mr. Lineski.
Okay. The following, I believe I can group together, right?
I believe
Mr.
that's all
Okay.
three.
7.
Well, no, because Mr. Fuller did not vote. You voted no on one of them.
Correct.
Okay, so you can't on which I forget which one, but it's Feldman. So you can do all of them except for Feldman.
Okay. So 717 Corley's Avenue, Block 65, Lot 8 in the R4 zone, Michael and Elise Linser. 714 Palmer Avenue, Block 64, Lot 5 in the R4 zone, Adam and Michael Cheney. 34 Shadow Lawn Drive, Block 25.35, Lot 28, Moshe and Norit Maimon. 34 Monmouth Road, Block 7, Lot 31 in the R4 zone, Ruben Antiby.
I'll
Second.
Vice Chairman Fuller,
Yes.
Mr. Ashkenazi,
Yes.
Mr. DeLoma, and Ms. Littman.
Yes. Okay, the next one, 300 Runyon Avenue, Block 49, Lot 1 in the R2 zone, Nathan and Sophia Feldman.
I'll offer.
I'll second.
So, do I ask Mr. Fuller?
No, then I'll vote.
Mr. Ashkenazi,
Yes.
Mr. DeLoma, and Ms. Littman.
Yes. Okay. Our first case will be Tony Cecita and Nikki Barrette, 19 Deal Lake Point Road, Block 112, Lot 5 in the R6 zone. Is seeking permission to construct a 2-story rear addition, new rear uncovered porch, 2 new AC condensers, and expand and cover the existing front porch. Minimum front yard setback of 30 feet is required where 18.66 feet is existing. The proposed covered front porch will maintain the existing 18.66 feet setback, but expanding the pre-existing nonconformity by increasing the width 3.5 feet horizontally and covering the porch. Maximum lot coverage of 25%, 1,243 square feet is permitted where building coverage of 29%, 1,438 square feet is requested. And if you two can please have a seat.
And I'm gonna
And-
mark in, while they're sitting down, I'm gonna mark in you can all sit. I'm gonna mark in the following exhibits. Exhibit A1 will be the variance application itself. Exhibit A2 will be the boundary and topographic survey. Exhibit A3 will be the plot plan. Exhibit A4 will be the architectural plan. And then I have the following board exhibits. Exhibit B1 will be the board planner's report. Exhibit B2 will be the board engineer's report. And Exhibit B3 will be the zoning officer's report.
Okay, and please pronounce your last names for me so I don't. If you can pull a chair and just have to share the microphone. Oh. That's what you were laughing at. It's meant to be. Sorry about that.
I was just wrestling.
I was wondering why you were laughing.
That was not intentional. Right, that
That's
was
right.
intentional for April Fool's.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, please pronounce your names for me.
Tony Cicita.
Cecita.
Nicola Barata.
Barata. Okay, and can you raise your right hand? Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth?
I do.
I do.
Okay. And first I will ask Mr. Higgins and Mr. Padlick for their reports.
Let me just swear that. We should just swear them in. Do you two swear that any testimony you give this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. The applicant is proposing to construct a two-story rear addition to expand an existing and cover the existing front porch, put a new rear uncovered porch on the site, and put two new air conditioning condensers. It's a slightly undersized lot in terms of area and depth. It's on Deal Lake Point Road. I'll just summarize my report. It's the R6 zone. They require three variances. The first is the front yard setback. The existing uncovered front porch is set back 18.66 feet, and they're going to widen that and cover it. So they're expanding both vertically and horizontally the 18.66 foot front yard setback, but not making it any less than the existing setback. So it's a small addition to the front porch. I think it'll make the house look nicer. I don't have a significant problem with that request. The maximum lot coverage, the ordinance permits 25%. They're proposing 29%. That's basically a little less than 200 square feet over what the ordinance would permit. And I just think we need some testimony as to why they need the addition. I don't see any substantial negative impact to the granting of that variance again, but we need a little bit of testimony as to why they need the addition. With regard to the accessory structure, front and side yard setback, the air conditioning units are accessory structures. The ordinance requires a 5-foot setback. They're being proposed at a 2-foot setback. So that variance is necessary. And again, I don't have a big problem in terms of negative impact, but it looks like maybe they could be put somewhere else that they would conform. So we just need a little bit of testimony that says, why they need them in that location. And maybe there's something with regard to the interior of the home that would require that they do that. It makes it a better alternative.
Okay. Mr. Padlick?
There's a plot plan submitted in support of this application. They're not located in a flood zone nor in the wetlands in the area. So in addition to all of those improvements listed by Mr. Higgins, they also propose to connect their roof leader, a new roof leader, to a conveyance system that has 3 yard inlets, a stormwater conveyance system that has 3 yard inlets terminating at the end of the driveway. It runs generally underneath the paved driveway, the proposed paved driveway, running towards Deal Lake Point Road. Our only engineering comment is the inlets. There's only one of them located in the driveway. Should be rated for traffic. Should be HS20, rated for HS20.
Okay. Can you tell us about your, basically why the addition? Can you address the AC condensers as well as the inlet? Whoever wants to speak.
The addition will allow us a small powder room on the downstairs level. an expansion to what is a very small kitchen. The existing footprint of the house was about 1,300 square feet. And then the second floor addition takes a very, very small third bedroom, gives it some space for a master bedroom with closets and a master bathroom.
Do you have an architect here?
Yes.
Yes.
Maybe he could explain why the air conditioning condensers have to be where they are.
If you can state your name, please.
Yes, Anthony Conduris, Condouris.
Okay. And have you testified before this? If you can raise your right hand, do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Have you testified before this board previously?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I'm a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey.
Okay.
So the air conditioning units, we put them on the side. The main reason was to keep them off the patio in the backyard. If we put them behind the house, they'd be right in the area that's actually the living space for the patio. So it wouldn't be ideal to have them in that spot. Right now there is an AC unit, I believe, on the side there. So we're just adding one to that side.
So you're putting a second one up here?
Yes,
One yard.
that's correct.
And you said it's not ideal because of why?
Well, because if we put it behind the house here, it'd be right in their patio space.
Okay.
Okay.
To kind of further touch on the addition, Mr. Cicita said it pretty well. It's a relatively small house. The current house has a very small kitchen, and there's only one bathroom on the second floor. So this expansion allows them to have a master bedroom with its own bath, and on the first floor we were able to expand the kitchen and make it a more updated floor plan.
And I believe, Mr. Pavlik, you mentioned the inlet. There was a concern about that.
Yes, on the plot plan, there's a stormwater inlet, a yard inlet. If they're located in a grass space, it's okay to have the plastic covers. But this one's located in the driveway, so we recommend something rated for traffic if there's going to be cars driving over it.
Yeah, we'll make sure we do that.
Is that the
That's-
HS 20?
Correct.
Yes.
Sure, not a problem.
Okay.
And that's in his letter, so you comply with the letter.
Yes.
Okay. Is there any other testimony you'd like to share?
Yeah, we could talk a little bit about the front porch. So, yes, the front porch is existing. It's already at an 18.66 front setback. So, as mentioned, we're not bringing the porch any farther to the street. We're simply expanding it horizontally and putting a roof on it, which is going to make the house look a lot nicer. It's an older home. It has a lot of charm. I think we're going to maintain that charm. The addition isn't really visible from the street, so we're still going to have the same look of this house. It's a nice old colonial, and not changing the height of it or anything like that. So it fits in well with the neighborhood as it's already there. And of course, they're going to upgrade it with new siding and new windows and everything like that.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Okay. Any questions from the public? Okay, motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion for the public hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, is there a positive resolution?
Make a motion for a positive resolution? I'll second.
Okay, Cole?
Chairwoman Beal,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Fuller,
Yes.
Mr. Ashkenazi,
Yes.
Mr. DeGenaro,
Yes.
Mr. Shimura,
Yes.
Ms. Wiggins,
Yes.
and Mr. Carmack.
Yes.
Okay, best of
Okay.
luck, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, our next case, 416 West Park Avenue, LLC, 416 West Lincoln Avenue, Ocean Township, Block 25.15, Lot 40 in the R3 zone. The attorney is Mr. Convery. The applicant is seeking to construct a single-family dwelling with in-ground pool and cabana. Minimum lot size required is 18,750 square feet, where 14,200 209.7 square feet exist and proposed. Minimum lot width required is 125 feet, where 59.49 feet is existing and proposed. Minimum 30 combined feet side yard setback is required, where 21.26 feet is being proposed. The maximum stories above grade is 2.5 stories above grade, where 3 stories is being proposed. The ordinance requires that accessory buildings over 10 feet in height and 100 square feet in area maintain the required setbacks of the principal building. A 10-foot side yard setback for a cabana accessory building of 172 square feet includes overhang, and 11.6 feet in height is required where 5 feet is proposed. The ordinance requires that the accessory structure other than buildings maintain the required 45-foot front yard setback and 10-foot side and rear yard setbacks. Proposed is 8.9 foot side setback to the pool patio and 6.6 foot side setback to the pool equipment. Ordinance requires a minimum of 5 foot setback from side property lines for driveway, where 4.0 foot setback for the 18-foot wide driveway is being proposed.
Madam Chair, I can clarify some issues with this
Okay.
application. The applicant, first of all, it's a significantly undersized lot, particularly with the width. The applicant has indicated that they're going to eliminate the variance for 3 stories. They're going to comply with the 2.5 stories, which I believe can be a condition of approval, because I looked at the plans and it's only a matter of adjusting the elevation, the land elevation by about half a foot or so, maybe a little bit more than half a foot. So it's doable. The cabana has been eliminated, so the variances associated with that are being eliminated. It's my understanding, and also the variance for the setback of the driveway has been eliminated also. And it's my understanding that they're going to relocate the pool equipment also to be in a conforming location.
I'm sorry,
So
so the pool's gonna be conforming also?
What?
You said the pool's gonna be
I will
conforming?
need testimony on that, I don't recall.
Alright, so let me mark in what I have as far as exhibits before Mr. Convery puts on his appearance. So Exhibit A1 is gonna be the variance application.
This is the building lot coverage.
Exhibit A2 is going to be the survey of the property. Exhibit A3 is the topographic
Side yard
survey.
setback.
Exhibit A4 is the variance plan, building permit, block rating plan. Exhibit A5 is the architectural plan. Exhibit A6 is the letter from DIM Architecture. Exhibit A7 is the soil boring results. Then we have the following board exhibits, which will be Exhibit B1 will be the board planner's letter, Exhibit B2 will be the board engineer's letter, and Exhibit B3 will be the zoning officer's report. So those are all the exhibits, so I would just ask Mr. Convery to put his appearance on the record.
No problem, they're in the record, and we certainly acknowledge that they are the exhibits in the packet before the board, which we will rely on in our testimony. I'd like to clarify, my son David is the attorney of record. He was operated on, and I am appearing on his behalf. Samuel V. Convery, Jr. of Metuchen and Shrewsbury.
Thank you, Mr. Convery. Welcome.
Thank you. Proceed.
Yes.
Madam Chair Lady, members of the board, we're dealing with Lot 40, Block 25.15 in an R3 zone. The minutes or the agenda commentary as to the variances which we were seeking has been radically reduced, as noted by Mr. Higgins, to just 3 variances which we seek tonight. 2 of which are pre-existing variances because they're based on the size of the lot. The third is the minimum width both side yards would combined. So we're seeking 1 new variance really for this property. I have submitted an affidavit of publication, an affidavit of service. I'd like the attorney to rule that we have jurisdiction to proceed.
So ruled.
As noted, the record is before you in the packet. I have 1 witness tonight, Mr. Mark Lieber from East Point Engineering, who will proceed with testimony as an engineer and also as a planner. Mr. Lieber, have you appeared before this board before?
Yes, I have.
And what licenses do you hold?
I have a license in engineering and a license in planning.
So we don't need the whole voir dire, Mr. Convery. We'll just accept Mr. Lieber as an expert, as provided that his licenses are in good standing.
They are. Very fine, thank you. Mr. Lieber, have you been retained by the applicant?
We do need to swear him in, though.
You can raise your right hand. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Mr. Lieber, you were retained by the applicant for engineering and planning purposes with this application?
Yes, I was.
And you prepared the plans and are familiar with the application?
I am.
And as such, as a planner, you're familiar with Oceam Township's master plan and the ordinances that regulate land use?
Yes.
All right, what are your findings and what is your testimony?
As you heard originally, this lot is a little unusual in the sense that it's very deep, but yet it's narrow. The width is about 60 feet, but the depth is around 250 feet, and there actually was a dwelling on this property previously. The lots that are next door to this property on both sides are a similar shape, width and depth, and they also have dwellings on those lots. In the zone, which is R3, a conforming lot requires 18,750 square feet. This lot is a little undersized in the sense that it only has 14,209.7 square feet. The lot width requirement in the zone is 125 feet minimum, and this property has 59.5 feet lot width. So what's proposed is a two-story dwelling. The architectural plans submitted. There were also color renderings on those plans. You should have them in your packets.
So it is only 2 stories, it's not 2.5?
Correct.
Okay.
There's a flat roof, and the footprint of that dwelling is 2,808 square feet. We also show on the plan a proposed in-ground pool with a patio and a driveway that can accommodate 4 vehicles. There was a prior plan with a cabana that has been deleted. Now, when we look through the bulk requirements, we do comply with the minimum front yard setback, rear yard setback, 1 side yard setback. We do need relief from the combined side yard setback, which is a 30-foot minimum, and we're proposing 21.26. Essentially, because the lot is so narrow, if we were to provide the combined 30-foot side yards, we would be reduced to a building shape and size that's not very practical for the width of this lot.
And those are the only variances? All other variances have been eliminated?
I actually had called out on my plan on the left side a 8.95-foot setback to a pool patio, where I believe 10 feet's required.
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so that is, let me just make sure I get that right. What is it?
I have 8.95 feet to the patio, and 10 feet's required there. So I had noted that as needing relief. It's a minor variance, and it's only needed because we wanted to have a pool where you could walk around all 4 sides. So
What about the pool equipment?
I had moved that equipment to be 10.5 feet off the property line to a location that I believe does conform,
Okay.
which is shown on the plan revised February 28th.
All right, so all pool equipment will conform. All right, so the pool's going to conform, the pool equipment's going to conform. The only thing that isn't conforming is the pool patio.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, when we look at the variances, and I went back to the town code, there is a chapter 2120 which does discuss existing non-conforming lots. Unfortunately, in the town, there's no grandfathering clause. So although there was a dwelling there previously, we would still have to come to this board for relief. And frankly, all zoning boards were inundated with these types of applications until 1987, when the court offered guidance as to how to handle this type of thing, because in a situation where there was a lot where it was buildable and there's a dwelling, really a denial of variances could result in a lot that's impractical to be utilized. So in addition to presenting, the plans for the house and what efforts we've made to bring it into conformity, which includes trying to meet all the side yard and front yard and rear yard setbacks, as well as building and lot coverage, which we were significantly under on. We also have to, demonstrate that we're not violating any traditional zoning purposes. When I look at that, I go right to the purpose of the code, which is to provide adequate air, light, and open space, not to present something that's more or less a nuisance, which this is not a nuisance, and to provide a sufficient space in appropriate locations for the type of use that we're offering here, which is in a residential neighborhood, so I don't see any violation of that. I do want to point out that all the lots around us are developed, and there is no additional land available to bring this lot into conformity, whether it be by width or lot area. I don't see any detriment to the public in this case. We're not impacting what you normally hear as negatives, environmentally sensitive areas. We're not in a floodplain. There's no wetlands on the property. We're not clear cutting wooded areas. It's really just an infill project. Right now the lot is vacant, and it looks like really like a missing tooth on the street where something was once there, and we had selected this house and designed this to both fit into the neighborhood and to be sized appropriately for the size of the lot.
So Mark, just to make this like really easy,
Mhm.
you've got an irregularly shaped lot,
Yep.
which is why you have the pre-existing non-conformance. You're having a pool which conforms. It'd be impossible to essentially put the patio around the pool without having a variance, more or less. It'd be virtually impossible, and you have to have a patio all around the pool.
It's generally safer if you do.
Yeah, and that's literally the only variance you actually have.
Actually, I don't think they need that variance. How wide is the pool surround at that point? Is it 3 feet?
It's 3 feet.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, then
That's
it
why-
doesn't count, so that, you don't need a variance for that.
And why
For
don't
the
you? I just
pool
want to make sure,
patio.
why don't they need it?
Because it's 3 feet or less, it isn't counted as a patio. It's counted as a walkway, and walkways are permitted.
But just to clarify,
That's the
we're,
zoning officer's interpretation. It's been interpreted that way a number of years.
right, that I'm familiar with, but as it approaches the house, where there's
Oh,
a
okay.
10-foot
that's- okay,
area.
look at that, right. It might be, yeah.
They were asking me to notch that out,
Okay, that's right.
Right,
I
yeah.
recall
which
that now.
makes it
It's
a
been
little
while since I reviewed it.
awkward.
I forget what I was just looking at. I had it out.
Yeah,
couldn't
but I saw,
find it.
yeah, you're right. You're
So,
right.
I
You
mean,
need it.
Yeah, you need it.
Yeah, to keep it square, you need
Quite
it.
it would
frankly,
be awkward to notch it.
The lot is so narrow
Right.
in comparison to what's required. That goes also to the setbacks of the building. I did a quick calculation. If you had a conforming lot that's 125 square feet with a 30-foot combined side yard setback, the open space on either side of the building would be about 24% of the lot width. What they're proposing is open space that's about 31% of the lot width, so it's actually, percentage-wise, it's more than what the ordinance would require.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's a C1 and it's
Yes.
almost a C2 too, because
Yeah,
you need
yes.
that walkway around the pool. So
Yes.
for safety purposes. Okay.
Okay.
That's all.
And
That's all I
Mr.
need.
Havlick, did you have any additional
Yeah, I
info
do
or
have a
concerns?
few comments. The first being curb and sidewalk exist to either side, both the east and the west, within about 60 or 70 feet. We recommend that they can add sidewalk in this area to try to fill in that gap.
I think that's fine.
Second comment, concrete curb. You are proposing concrete curb. It should be Class B concrete. That detail should be revised. It looks like there is a basement with a bathroom and laundry room which have water and sewer. We'd recommend you guys verify if an ejector pump is needed.
Okay,
If the sewer if those are lower than the existing sewer, you need to get it up and out.
right.
Then freehold soil, it looks like you're disturbing more than 5,000 square feet. Freehold soil conservation district approval should be required.
Not a problem.
All right, so you're going to do everything that's in his letter that's still relevant.
Right.
I do have one additional comment that's not in the letter.
Mhm.
I'm looking at the plans, the last revised 228. It looks like in between the pool, at the edge of the patio, in between the pool and the house, there are a couple spot shots that might be might be creating a low spot. I'm imagining that water's supposed to run off. I'm seeing 48.9s in between a 49 and a 49.50. We just ask that grading be rectified.
Can you just, since it's not in the letter, can you just repeat that so I get it for the resolution?
At the edge of the patio, in between the pool and the house, it looks like on the north side of the patio, there's a couple of low spots that we'd recommend be regraded so that water could flow off and not get stuck in that area.
Not a problem.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Questions from the public? Okay, motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Do we have a positive resolution?
I move for a positive resolution with all the conditions that were specified.
Is there a second?
A second.
Okay, Nicole? Yes.
Vice Chairman Fuller,
Yes.
Mr. Ashkenazi,
Yes.
Mr. DeGenaro,
Yes.
Mr. Chimura,
Yes.
Ms. Lippman,
Yes.
Mr. Cameron.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good
And
night.
hope your son is well. Okay,
Thank you.
next case, Solomon Shahabar, 344 Park Avenue, Block 20, Lot 5, in the R2 zone, intersection of Park Avenue and Monmouth Road. The applicant is seeking approval to expand existing driveway to provide more off-street parking and for expansion of pool patio into the required 10-foot side and rear yard setbacks. Maximum width for a driveway within the front yard is permitted to be no more than 20 feet. The proposed driveway with a 28.5 feet in the Monmouth Road front yard and with a 58.98 feet in the Park Avenue front yard. And the attorney is Ms. Jennifer Krimko.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. Jennifer Krimko from Ansel, Grimm and Aaron, here on behalf of the applicant. In addition to the driveway variance, we discovered through the process of this application that the prior owner, when he constructed the house as well as the pool equipment and the pool patio, they're all slightly non-conforming. So they were called out by Kate, the zoning officer, and some of them were called out by Jim in his letter. So in an abundance of caution for going forward, we would just ask for the variances related to those existing nonconformities as well. Again, they all existed when my client purchased the house. We'll go over those in detail through Patrick when he testifies.
All right, let me just mark in the following. Exhibit A1 will be the variance application itself. Exhibit A2 will be the boundary topographic and utility survey. Exhibit A3 will be the plot plan. Those are the only exhibits I have so far on behalf of the applicant. I know we're going to have more. We then have the following board exhibits. Exhibit B1 will be the board planner's report. Exhibit B2 will be the board engineer's report. And Exhibit B3 will be the zoning officer's report.
Thank you. And I just have two additional exhibits. Excuse me. A4 are 3 photos of the subject property that I took today because Patrick forgot to go out there. And since I live closer than Patrick did, I said, don't send anybody, I'll run over on my way to the office.
Did you drive the bus here?
Look at you, you overachiever,
Bus here
you.
that you ran over him with?
No. He knows I adore him. That's the only reason why I can tease him. If I'm not making fun of you, it's more problematic. A5 is a beautiful exhibit prepared by Patrick. It's a color rendered plot plan over. And that's the color rendering over an aerial.
And that's the same thing that's on the...
Correct.
Yeah.
So with that, I'd like to introduce Patrick, have him sworn. He'll be testifying in his capacity as a licensed engineer and planner, as he always does here.
Okay, can you raise your right hand? Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth?
I do.
Okay.
Patrick Ward with Insight Engineering, 1955 Route 34, Wall, New Jersey. Licensed professional engineer and planner in the state. Both licenses current and valid.
Okay, and just before Patrick starts, the reason for these 3 photos are just to show you the existing property, both from the hardware store across the street on Park Avenue. From the corner, I did not attempt to cross either Monmouth Road or Park Avenue for the purposes of this. So from the corner where I walked and then driving south on Monmouth Road, I actually pulled over and took that from my car. And that again is just to show you that the yard in question, as Patrick begins to testify, is completely enclosed by hedges and not visible from any of the streets. And so Patrick, I'll turn it over to you to walk through existing conditions and proposed.
Okay, so
The property address 344 Park Ave. We are at the intersection of Monmouth Road running north to south and Park Ave, the beginning of Park Ave where it runs east. As we know, this is a very busy intersection in town. Our lot is a slightly undersized corner lot. As you can see, it's in the R2 zone. So the applicant seeking approval to expand their driveway in order to provide additional off-street parking. As we'll get into it, variance relief is required for driveway width. And through this application, the applicant's also seeking to legalize the nonconformities relative to some of the other site improvements. So what do we have today? And I'll reference A5 as I talk about the existing conditions because the proposed conditions are pretty small compared to what else is out there. There's existing two-story dwelling located on the property. There's a single driveway access from Park Avenue, and on our exhibit you can see a dark line that shows the current limits of the driveway. So there's a little bit of a turnaround area, and that's garage doors right here. Right, oversized single-car garage. Typical rear yard improvements include a pool patio, and a rear deck. The property is fully landscaped, as the photos evidence. The two frontages are landscaped to the degree you'd expect for such a busy and active intersection. We have a solid row of skip laurel that run along the entirety of both frontages. The property and structures today are pre-existing non-conforming. We're seeking to legalize all existing non-conforming conditions. So just to run through them briefly, lot area is 17,700.
Well, actually, so just so the board's aware, in 2002, this board or the predecessors did grant variance relief for the development of this property. It included a variance for the lot area, it included a variance for a change of grade of 2 feet or more, and it included a variance as it relates to Park Avenue for approximately 41 feet, where 50 feet is required. Unfortunately, so you don't need to go through the ones that were already granted, but interestingly, the house was constructed a couple of feet closer to Park than was approved. So, go ahead, Pat, sorry.
Yeah, so the lot area is 17,795, where 22,500 is required. The principal setbacks, so the Monmouth Road setback from our survey is 49 feet, where 50 feet is the requirement. And as Ms. Krimko noted, there was a prior variance relief for the front yard to Park at 41 feet. We measured at 39.6. Again, those are the current as-built conditions based on our survey. The principal rear yard is 39 feet, where 40 feet is required. The pool equipment side yard is 7.9 feet, where 10 feet is required. The driveway width today is actually non-conforming. At its widest, where this little turnaround area is 39.4 feet, where 20 feet, as we know, is the maximum. And then the pool patio itself, non-conforming. Front yards at 46.8 feet, where 50 is required. And the side and rear yards are 7.1 and 3.5 respectively, where 10 feet is the requirement.
And this has existed since the house was built, likely in 2002 or around thereabouts, and nobody really even knew about it, including the inspector who did the CO at the time of purchase, and you can't really see it, so there's no impact on anybody.
Correct. I would agree with all those statements. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about what we're proposing.
So what we're proposing here is, we did our best to try to match the color, not to throw you off, but just to show what it would look like from the sky in the future if this is approved.
If you're ever flying over it.
If you're ever flying above, yeah. The proposed driveway extension here is about 756 square feet, excuse me. Since we're a corner lot and the home is built on the easterly 10-foot side yard setback, any driveway expansion on this property would be in a front yard. We have the front yard on Park and the front yard on Monmouth. The applicant's goal here is to provide additional off-street parking for his family and guests. So due to the extremely busy nature of the Park and Monmouth intersection, on-street parking here is unsafe and likely not permitted.
So before we made this application and you provided the plan to me, in an effort to try and avoid the variance, we did look at the possibility of doing a conforming circular driveway.
Correct.
Such that would allow for more on-street parking and would avoid the variance. Is that correct? And
we looked into it, yes.
Right, and in doing so, you discovered that it would require variances for setback to the property lines, and it would put one of the driveway entrances literally at the intersection of Monmouth and Park, which in your opinion the county would not allow based on their requirements?
Correct, yeah, two parts. Yeah, there's a 50-foot requirement from the intersection for the township, and then the county would not like it being close to the radius of the curve. And
we
We
wouldn't be
wouldn't,
able,
we wouldn't want a curb cut on Monmouth Road. I don't think the county would accept
well,
that.
and moreover, the town would require variance for that, because when you have a corner lot, you have to
The
you have
lesser.
your curb cuts on the lesser classification.
Correct.
I think this configuration is the best they can possibly do. And I think the safest to do.
Yeah.
Jim, was that your way of telling them to wrap it up?
I was about to do it too.
I just wanted to put on the record, it was something in Drew and Ben's report. We will provide the details for the drywall. We did add that as a quick revision just to, commit to that. We'll provide specific details to mitigate any increase in coverage, which we're proposing.
Does the board have any questions, Sir Patrick?
Mr. Pavlik, no, they said they'll conform to the letter, so no.
That was our only comment.
Okay. Questions from the board? Questions from the public? Okay, motion to close the public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, someone offer? Okay,
Second.
and Nicole.
Chairwoman Neal,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Ford,
Yes.
Mr. Ashkenazi,
Yes.
Mr. DeGenaro.
Yes.
Mr. Demora,
Yes.
Ms. Griffith,
Yes.
Mr. Cameron.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay, the last case, Emerald Jade. Emerald Jade LLC, 519 Wildwood Road, Block 61.05, Lot 11.
Chairman, we might want to take maybe like a 15-minute break, and Mr. Farber is not here.
Oh,
You want me to text him? I have his cell number, yeah.
Jinxed us.
Should.
take a 5-minute break.
Maybe he misunderstood. He thought we were carrying it. Because there was issues. You know the issues earlier today. He was told it was going to be carried.
So we make a motion to take a 15-minute break?
Motion to take a 5-minute, second.
His voice.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, I will move to open the,
Resume the meeting.
resume the meeting. Sorry about that. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And we'll note that everyone who was here previously is still here, so there's no need to recall the roll.
Okay. And our next case is Emerald Jade LLC, 519 Wildwood Road, Block 61.05, Lot 11, Oceam Township in the R5 zone. Applicant is seeking to retain the existing garage structure and convert it to a cabana. Maximum building coverage is 25% of total lot. 1,562.5 square feet, where 31.23%, 1,952 square feet is existing, and 31.23%, 1,952 square feet is proposed. Accessory buildings over 150 square feet must maintain the setback of the principal building. 7.5 feet side yard and 30-foot rear yard setbacks are required, where 3.6 foot side and 3-foot rear yard setback are proposed. Accessory structures, including pools, patios, pads, etc., must maintain required 30-foot front yard setback and 10-foot side and rear yard setback. 0 feet front to 5-foot wide pad walkway, 8-foot rear to pool patio is proposed. Note, previous zoning official was incorrect in issuing zoning approvals for pool in 2022. Minimum side setback for driveway is 5 feet, where 0 feet is existing. The 2-story rear addition shown on the variance plan shows a proposed in-ground pool with fencing and equipment that was also approved by the previous zoning official in 2022.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
And I think our attorney wants to mark
I
in.
will mark in the following exhibits. Exhibit A1 will be the variance application itself. Exhibit A2 will be the survey of the property. Exhibit A3 will be the project information, elevations, and floor plan. Exhibit A4 will be the proposed cabana and variance plan. Those are the exhibits I have on behalf of the applicant, and I'm sure you might have more, and we'll mark them in as we get to them.
Thank you.
And then we have the following board exhibits. Exhibit B1 will be the board planner's report. Exhibit B2 will be the board engineer's report. And exhibit B3 will be the zoning officer's report.
I think there are more than one planner report, and
We only
engineering
marked
report.
in the most recent.
The most
Okay.
recent, my most
Okay.
recent one says that none of the others matter anymore.
Very good.
That's small print at the bottom.
I wish that would work with my wife. Anyway,
This is being recorded.
We're back recording. So
she's
you-
not watching, I guarantee. Anyway, good evening, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Robert Farber for the applicant, Emerald Jade LLC, 519 Wildwood Avenue, Block 6105, Lot 11. This is an application with some history. I just want to go over it because you can recite it, but I'd like to just make things clear and a little simpler. It's always helpful. Back in '22, there were plans for an addition to the back of the house. Zoning approval was given. It was represented and conditioned that the garage would be removed. The plans were built. Subsequently, there was also approval for a pool. Zoning approval has been given for the pool
When you say zoning approval, you mean by the zoning officer?
by the zoning
So
officer.
it never came to this board?
It didn't have to. There was no bulk or a use issue involved. Same with the back, because in 22-23, when the construction was done to the back of the home, everything was per code. The code had changed since subsequently. But when everything was originally approved, as far as the back of the home, the board, it was all permissible and all within code. And everything did get built with approvals of your code official in terms of the addition to the back of the home. In terms of the pool, the zoning approval, not your approval, but from the zoning code official, was granted, I think within the past year. So it does pass muster under the ruling as given. There's some issues about patioing as well as the garage. When everything was built, the client had subsequent thoughts of maybe converting the garage into a cabana. And note that the plans for the cabana, just so you know, do not include any bathrooms. There is a sink, there'll be a refrigerator, and it will just be used as a cabana. It's not going to have heating, it's not going to have air conditioning. It will not in any way, shape, or form be used as livable space. It's only going to be used as a cabana. Regardless, I made this...
As a early, just to get it out of the way, will you agree to a deed restriction that says these
Absolutely.
things?
I was going to add that,
Okay.
Mark. I've been before you before. But before, with you, I should say, not before you. But in any event, we filed the application a little less than a year ago for the garage. As Ben and Jim's reports came in, there were some issues that arose. And we offered and thought perhaps the thing to do is just withdraw the application. And we had a technical meeting with your officials, and it was suggested that the garage, the conversion to the cabana, would not be as problematic. The driveway as it exists is non-conforming. The garage obviously has been there forever. The issue was create more parking space. That will alleviate the planning concerns for the most part. And that's really where we find ourselves today. We have resubmitted plans. Now, you may have heard some rumbling. Some engineering drawings were submitted earlier today even, which of course is wrong because it's less than 10 days before a meeting. I'm not asking anyone to look at anything other than what's previously been reported on and submitted. The issues that arise from the plans submitted today and the issues that arose in Mr. Matlack's initial report really boiled down to construction issues and things, and we will certainly abide with your code official, whether it's Craig or Ben or whomever, should we be fortunate enough to be granted variance relief. So in terms of water retention, in terms of discharge, in terms of the placement of venting or what have you, we will abide by whatever your code official says. And that was really the concerns that were raised in what was submitted today. And I'm not presenting or talking about, I'm just explaining to you. So we come simply asking to allow the the garage to become a cabana. And the garage is a source of the buildable problems, I believe, though. Drew can correct me if I'm wrong. There was patio placement that we originally had that we withdrew and we redesigned. I think we're okay on the patio and the walkways. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think our issue is the remaining garage. And again, the driveway, the garage, these are all pre-existing. These aren't things that we built or did. These are things that pre-existed. And there you have it. So, Ms. Spiel and board, with your permission, I'd like to just describe through our architect what is proposed for a conversion to the garage. And I would like to call Mr. David Feldman, a licensed architect of the state of New Jersey, who has been approved as an expert before your board on many occasions.
And if
But
you
would
can
you swear him in, please?
raise your right hand, do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth?
I do.
Okay, and if you can just use that microphone, please.
David, you're a licensed architect of the state of New Jersey, and you've been before this board a couple of dozen times.
Yes, I have.
And I would ask Madam Chairman to allow him to testify.
Yes.
Okay, David, Mr. Feldman, for the record, can you please describe for the board, and if anybody wants to see this, they're welcome to come up, what is proposed.
So what we have before you is the garage conversion into a cabana. Basically, the existing garage in footprint, in height, in square footage is staying exactly the way it is.
Do you mind just turning it slightly?
Sure.
I think some may want to see it in the audience. That's good. Thank you.
We have no intention of changing the exterior except for the fact of cleaning it up. The stucco would probably be repainted, and the only other thing that we're going to do is the existing garage door that faces south on the front elevation or faces the street is going to be replaced with a roll-down gate, and the wall that faces the east side, which is going to now open up to the proposed pool area, will also be opened with roll-down gates that could open up to create an open area to the pool. As far as the interior, the only thing we're proposing is a countertop with a sink and an under-counter refrigerator. Like I said, the existing garage door that faces south is going to be replaced with a roll-down gate that could be opened and closed during the summertime months and closed during the winter for probable storage of whether it be patio equipment or whatever they have around the pool. And the wall that faces east is also going to be opened up with security gates as well that could be closed and opened.
Mr. Feldman, let's go to the floor plan. Again, no bathroom, correct?
No bathroom, no heat. It's not intended for livable space.
In fact, there is some windows other than
There's 3 skylights that are going to be proposed for the roof.
and there isn't a standard door, it's all rolled down garage.
That is correct.
Okay. It's going to have electric, I presume.
Yes.
And the only plumbing will be to the sink.
Yes, that is correct.
And the skylights actually are gonna be facing the interior of the property.
Yeah, the skylights will be facing the pool side or the east side facing the interior.
You know, I don't think I have any further questions of you. Madam Chairman of the board, have any?
Questions from the board?
Is there plumbing in the building now?
I don't believe there is now. There is electric though.
Where are the services coming from?
I'm not 100% sure.
Just I would like to reiterate to the board that were we to be granted approval, I will certainly prepare a deed restriction that this is not habitable space. And I think de facto in its form, David, no one can really live there. I mean, there's no windows, you'd have to roll up.
Well, yeah, I mean, considering there's no bathroom facilities, there's no windows, there's no personnel door to be able to open and close and go in and out.
Yeah, there are no man doors.
There are no man doors.
Yes.
So if somebody wanted,
Women doors.
or X doors,
Yes.
if somebody wanted to sleep in there, basically they'd have to open up one of the security doors, go in, and either sleep with it open all night or close it, in which case they don't have any windows or ventilation except for the skylights that are up in the roof.
And I'm sorry, do the doors face the pool?
Uh,
Or do
the,
they
the,
face the
yeah,
driveway?
so the two doors, that currently this is a wall, solid wall. There's no windows within the structure currently, nor are we intending to put any on the north elevation or the west elevation. So the east elevation is a full wall currently, and what we're doing is proposing to open up that wall and put two doors to open it and make it as airy as possible.
So that will face the pool.
That faces the pool. The front elevation, which is the south elevation, faces the driveway and the street.
And that's going to be removed.
The garage door will be removed and replaced with a security gate system that could open and close. So when in the summertime, they could theoretically open the east facing wall as well as the south facing wall and the east facing wall.
Okay.
Yes. And the two walls that are facing north and west will remain solid as they currently are today.
Are they gonna put heat or air conditioning in the building?
No.
Any other questions from the board?
Could you further explain? I think I heard you say the original plan years ago was to remove the garage.
The code official, when my client went for the initial zoning approval and building approval, indicated that he would remove the garage. After everything was done and he got the pool approval, he thought, this might be a nice cabana before we get rid of it. And that's kind of the order of the way things went. And as soon as they kind of had the pool approval, they were approached, any way we can keep the garage? Well, yeah, but you need a variance because you told them you were going to remove it, and that's why we find ourselves here.
If they wouldn't have agreed to that back then, would they have needed a variance?
Back then, they would have
They would
needed
have
a
needed a
variance.
variance then, yeah.
So they
Basically,
did,
we
so
have
they did it to
check
avoid a
review
variance.
meeting, and my suggestion to them, since the existing driveway extended along the property line more than half the depth of the lot, I said if you remove that portion of the existing driveway, get rid of all that asphalt, then maybe that could give you a reason for leaving the garage and making it a cabana, because you're giving something back that's probably better than removing the cabana, removing the garage.
And incidentally, Mr. Higgins, you also suggested creating an additional parking space.
That's correct, yes.
And it occurred to me, I went into the architect and your professionals didn't speak, and this is Oceam Township, and that's not the way you do things, so shame on me. But while this witness is still here, I think there's some objectors or members of the public who may have some questions.
But Mr. Higgins and Mr. Pavlik, do you have anything additional that you need to hear?
No,
Address.
the only other variance that they need is technical in nature. As we said with the prior application, if a sidewalk is 3 feet wide, it's not counted as a structure. The front sidewalk is intended to match the width of the steps, which is 5 feet. So that goes out to the front lot line. So technically that's a structure that requires a variance for being in the front yard. I mean, it could be reduced to 3 feet, and then you'd have to get to a certain point and widen out to 5 feet, which wouldn't make much sense.
Okay. Mr. Pavlik?
Most of my comments or my questions are engineering related, so I'll save them for the engineer, but there's one. The existing principal structure, can you confirm how many bedrooms are in that structure? I'm trying to determine the required parking if you need
I
required parking.
don't know the answer off the top of my head. I do know that during the technical review session, Mr. Higgins, didn't we address that issue and there were enough parking spaces for the number of bedrooms?
Yes, there were, yeah. I think there's 3 or 4 bedrooms.
I can't
And,
represent.
yeah, and I don't think Ben was at that meeting.
Okay. So there are three, it looks like there's space for 3 parking spaces in the driveway,
That's correct.
which would mean as long as the principal structure doesn't have more than 5 bedrooms.
Yeah, that's correct,
It should be
yes, yes.
sufficient.
And again,
Excuse me.
bless you.
Okay.
There really isn't a variance before you about the interior of the home, but when I do a deed restriction, if we're fortunate enough for the garage not having livable space, I'll happily add there's never to be more than 5 bedrooms in the house. So that can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And I hope no one likes birds. So thank you.
Okay, if there are questions from the pub,
I'm sorry, I had another question. Apologize. The drawings call for a proposed front covered porch. Is that built or is that proposed?
I'm really not sure. David, do you know the answer to that?
I'm only the architect for the cabana.
To my knowledge, the principal structure is complete. Nothing is happening to the principal structure. It's done. I think the issue was the width of the walkway and whether or not the garage is to be removed.
Yeah, because that's contributing to your building coverage is the front porch. So
I think though
it says existing 84, proposed 140, and then it says covered rear porch, proposed. Sorry.
No, it's on
Existing 0, proposed 104. So I don't know what we're approving here. See it? It's right here.
It does say proposed front covered porch.
I mean, it's on the same drawing where it says we're removing the driveway and you're converting the
Understood.
cabana.
May I ask for a 2-minute recess and get you a definitive answer to that?
I'm okay with that, or do you want to hear if there are questions from the public first for?
Questions of the, whatever.
Let's do the public first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, if there are questions from the public, if you can come up to the microphone.
All right, no one from the
Okay,
public
no.
is interested.
Make a motion for a 3-minute recess.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Any
you.
opposed? Okay, I move that we resume the meeting.
First,
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Note
opposed?
for the record again that everyone who was here prior to the break is back, so we don't need to do the roll.
and I would like to thank you, Madam Chairman, and board members for allowing these adjournments and this disjointed way we had to do this, and I appreciate it very much. I would ask that Mr. Scotland be sworn in.
Okay. Mr. Scotland, if you can, do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth?
I do.
And have you testified before this board?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Many times.
I'd ask that he be accepted to testify as to the engineering features on the plans.
Okay.
Okay?
You just spell the last name?
Lynn.
Thank you.
Scott, the board is very familiar with this, so I'm going to ask a few questions. The main issues here are the existence of the garage and the front walkway. The front plans show proposed front covered porch, but it's actually existing, as is the alcove in the back. So that's a mislabel, am I correct?
Yes.
Now, it has been suggested by Mr. Higgins that if you were to review around the garage, there is some concrete, and that concrete could be removed, and that concrete, if removed, would mitigate somewhat the building coverage issue. Am I correct?
I don't believe that concrete was actually calculated in the impervious coverage or the building coverage.
Okay, so, but we nonetheless can remove it, and that
Certainly.
will improve.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and just to mark on the plan, now the board has marked as A3 the site plan, and I'm going to ask you to just mark on this and make this perhaps A5 what you would remove. Just you could hatchet that portion of it so the board is aware.
Certainly. Actually, the concrete is within this area here,
Okay.
right up to this dashed line. Shaded, maybe?
Yeah, shaded, that would be a good idea.
All right, so this is a copy of A3, which is being marked up by the engineer to show what's going to be removed concrete-wise.
And I would ask that this be marked as A5,
A5.
just so it can be.
That's not a problem.
Thank you. Mr. Pavlik, it's this shaded in area.
It's also, I think, there's, the survey shows concrete in this area too. So be anything, basically, any concrete other than the pool patio, that's beyond where this is shown to be.
Okay. Scott, Mr. Higgins indicated that this area in front of the garage up to the hatcheted area, if there's concrete, that will be removed, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
But just mark that on the
Mark
plan,
it,
please.
please.
It's that whole driveway from the garage back.
If you can just shade it in.
Absolutely, yeah.
Certainly.
So frustrating.
You color so well.
I'm telling you.
Probably keep it aligned.
Many years'
I'll
experience.
show you both.
Yeah.
It's hatcheted
Yeah,
over
yeah,
here.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
shaded here.
yes, that's right.
Actually, I should cheerlead first. Being chairperson has its
Oh,
privilege.
okay.
This is the area where there's concrete around. It ends here. And this area, which is hatcheted, has concrete that's to be removed as well. And I will now go back to the book. This is the hatcheted area. This is the shaded. As I. A little Yiddish worked in. Hatcheted.
We're just full of comedians tonight.
That will be removed.
Hatchet, yes. Just, I'm going to provide A5 to the attorney, and that will be part of the file.
Mr. Farber, will you just do me a favor? Will you actually give this to Nicole? Because she's the king.
Because she loses nothing. And, okay, so Mr. Lynn, we've established that the front porch is not proposed, covered, it's existing, correct?
Yes.
And you'll remove that from the plan. The reference that it is
It's
proposed.
proposed.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, there were some communications and a new report that was submitted today that's verboten for purposes of this meeting. But technically, the information on it pertains to basically engineering concerns more than zoning concerns. And they were addressed to assuage the concerns that Mr. Matlack had and perhaps Greg had. And of course, any approval will be subject to the town's engineer's approval, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Lynn?
Questions from the board?
I'm sorry, but what is the existing building lot coverage and what is the proposed?
Scott?
Certainly. So there's several answers to that, actually. There was an existing site which was prior to the, I'm sure Robert explained, the pool application and the addition application being approved and constructed. So right now, the existing coverage is at 31.23%. Okay. With leaving the garage in place, taking out the big portion of the driveway, so on and so forth, our end impervious coverage would be 54.10. That's with all the improvements as shown on this plan. It includes the house, the addition, the pool, although the pool's not considered impervious coverage, the pool patio, and the cabana, and the reconfiguration of the driveway in the front.
So that's below the 65.
Correct.
So we are compliant in terms of total impervious.
Correct.
Building coverage, we're over, but in terms of impervious, we're fine.
So you're not changing your existing is 31.23% and you're staying at 31.23% per the application today in building lot
building.
coverage.
For building, yes.
So the variance plan says existing is 34.9 for existing. Was that based upon the idea that the garage wouldn't be there?
I'm sorry, that's the impervious coverage. Right, yes, it's 34.9 with the garage being removed, and then
Okay.
54.1.
So everything that says existing here isn't actually what's existing. It's existing as if the garage wasn't there.
No, that's existing as if the garage were there.
How's it changing?
That's existing.
How's it changing then?
We are taking away some of the driveway to the left. We're adding a little bit of driveway to the front. We reconfigured the pool patio from the previous approved plan.
Well, the building coverage is changing too. That's
The
going
building
from-
coverage is changing too, with the addition, with leaving the garage.
So the 19.8
Right.
is assuming the garage is not there?
I think the 19.8 is prior to the two-story addition here.
Maybe.
Yeah.
The problem
Can we
with
just
this,
get that zoning chart? I mean, there's got to be a real number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we need if we're going to accept the
Understand.
plan, we're going to need.
Yeah, no, I understand.
I mean, no one has. I don't think anyone. I don't want to speak for the board. I don't think anyone on this at this table here, from a professional standpoint, has any issue with the application. But we need to get the zoning chart right.
I think Scott's going to work on that in about a minute or so. We'll have it.
Okay.
And because of the way the house was approved and then the garage was proposed to stay and then the pool was added, it's a bit of a Frankenstein
Okay.
chart.
Just when you look
Right.
at the building coverage summary, the building coverage summary says the existing prior to construction. So clearly that 19.8 is what existed prior to the construction.
Based on the numbers, that is correct, Jim.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the proposed captures literally everything.
Exactly
It's the pool,
right.
it's the sidewalks,
Yes.
it's the garage,
Yes.
it's everything.
Yeah.
Okay. But the proposed takes into account the garage that was supposed to be torn down. Correct. Yeah.
Correct.
All right, I'm just going to make a condition that you have to revise. Just make sure the zoning chart is right.
Mm-hmm.
Confirm that with the board engineer and planner, and so that we have it. And presumably there won't be any extra variances. If there's another variance that shows up, you're going to have to come back, obviously. But
I think if you look at my report, I think I figured that all out, and this was 4 months ago, so I'm saying I think, I'm not 100% certain, but I think the figures in my report are probably accurate.
okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Lynn? Yes.
I just had a couple questions. There's some inconsistencies here with fence height and the gate and some spot grades that need to be adjusted. But my major comment is about the stormwater. If you're adding this much impervious, we'd ask that you mitigate that with the system and submit the calculations.
Okay.
And,
Right. In regard to the comment on the fence, the pool code says it has to be 4 feet in height, but the latch has to be at 54 inches. I read that, but the note on the plan clearly states that the actual latch has to be higher than the actual fence.
so is that one of the latches? I'm not sure the technical term.
Yeah.
Sticks above the fence.
Yep,
pull it up.
exactly. Yeah, that has to be 54 inches. That's why it appears as though there's a discrepancy, but there's really not. It's the height of the fence plus the height of the latch.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple spot grades.
Yeah, in the
I'm
back
assuming
there.
they're with the assumed datum that don't that didn't convert.
Correct.
To the
Yep.
survey.
Yeah. And then as far as the stormwater management, so we did get an approval from Greg Blash's office for the pop-up emitter with the small dry well, which is situated at the end of the pop-up emitter. I know that Ben in your office had requested that we do an actual dry well size to the 100-year event. We can do that, certainly.
I just might add for the board that were this to be favorably granted, we will abide by whatever Ben and Greg tell us to do in terms of stormwater mitigation.
Okay. And
Yeah.
just for the board's benefit, where would that dry well be located?
Based on this plan, it would be in the front yard.
Okay, any other
That's
questions?
all the questions I have.
Mr. Higgins, were you
I'm
going to
good.
say? Okay. Questions from the board? Okay, questions from the public? Okay, motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Is there a positive resolution?
Make a motion for a positive resolution.
Is there a
The
second?
conditions have been
Oh.
discussed already, including the dry well.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Oh, I'm sorry, roll call?
Chairwoman Gill,
Yes.
Mr. Fuller,
Yes.
Mr. Ashkenazi,
Yes.
Mr. DeGenaro,
No.
Mr. Chinara,
Yes.
Ms. Lippman,
Yes.
and Mr. Carmona.
Yes.
Thank you very, very much.
Okay,
Greatly appreciated. And I apologize for our combined tardiness.
You don't need to apologize.
I really seriously, thank you all.
And-
I love that word tardiness.
and a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.